Multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is a disease that impacts the brain and spinal cord, which make up the central nervous system and controls everything we do. The exact cause of multiple sclerosis is unknown, but we do know that something triggers the immune system to attack the brain and spinal cord. The resulting damage to myelin, the protective layer insulating wire-like nerve fibers, disrupts signals to and from the brain. This interruption of communication signals causes unpredictable symptoms such as numbness, tingling, mood changes, memory problems, pain, fatigue, blindness and/or paralysis. Everyone's experience with multiple sclerosis is different, and these losses may be temporary or long-lasting. There are 4 types of multiple sclerosis. 1. Clinically isolated syndrome, CIS. When someone has a first episode of multiple sclerosis symptoms, healthcare providers often categorize it as CIS. Not everyone who is CIS goes on to develop multiple sclerosis. 2. Relapsing Remitting Ms, RRMS. This is the most common form of multiple sclerosis. People with RRMS have flare-ups, also called relapse or exacerbation, of new or worsening symptoms. Periods of remission follow, when symptoms stabilize or go away. 3. Primary Progressive MS, Ppms. People diagnosed with Ppms have symptoms that slowly and gradually worsen without any periods of relapse or remission. 4. Secondary Progressive MS, SPMS. In many cases, people originally diagnosed with RRMS eventually progress to SPMS. With secondary progressive multiple sclerosis, you continue to accumulate nerve damage. Your symptoms progressively worsen. While you may still experience some relapses or flares, when symptoms increase, you no longer have periods of remission afterward, when symptoms stabilize or go away. What causes multiple sclerosis? Experts still don't know for sure what causes multiple sclerosis. Research is ongoing to help identify what causes the disease. Factors that may trigger multiple sclerosis include: 1. Exposure to certain viruses or bacteria. Some research suggests that being exposed to certain infections, such as Epstein-Barr virus, can trigger multiple sclerosis later in life. 2. Where you live. Your environment may play a role in your risk for developing multiple sclerosis. Certain parts of the world have significantly higher rates of the disease than others. Areas farther from the equator have higher rates of multiple sclerosis. That may be because these regions receive less intense sun. People who get less sun have lower levels of vitamin D, a risk factor for developing multiple sclerosis. 3. How your immune system functions. Multiple sclerosis is an autoimmune disease. Researchers are working to figure out what causes some people's immune cells to mistakenly attack healthy cells. 4. Gene mutations. Having a family member with multiple sclerosis does increase your risk of the disease. But it's still unclear exactly how and which genes play a role in triggering multiple sclerosis. Symptoms: multiple sclerosis-related nervous system damage. Multiple sclerosis signs and symptoms may differ greatly from person to person and over the course of the disease depending on the location of affected nerve fibers. Symptoms often affect movement, such as one side of your body, numbness or weakness in one or more limbs that typically occurs on one side of your body at a time, or your legs and trunk. Electric shock sensations that occur with certain neck movements, especially bending the neck forward, Lhermitte sign. Tremor, lack of coordination or unsteady gait. Vision problems are also common, including partial or complete loss of vision, usually in one eye at a time, often with pain during eye movement. Prolonged double vision, blurry vision. Multiple sclerosis symptoms may also include slurred speech, fatigue, dizziness, tingling or pain in parts of your body. Problems with sexual, bowel and bladder function. Risk factors for multiple sclerosis. These factors may increase your risk of developing multiple sclerosis. 1. Age. Multiple sclerosis can occur at any age, but onset usually occur around 20 and 40 years of age. However, younger and older people can be affected. 2. Sex. Women are more than 2 to 3 times as likely as men are to have relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. 3. Family history. If one of your parents or siblings has had multiple sclerosis, you are at higher risk of developing the disease. 4. Certain infections, a variety of viruses have been linked to multiple sclerosis, including Epstein-Barr, the virus that causes infectious mononucleosis. 5. Race, white people, particularly those of Northern European descent, are at highest risk of developing multiple sclerosis. People of Asian, African or Native American descent have the lowest risk. 6. Climate. Multiple sclerosis is far more common in countries with temperate climates, including Canada, the northern United States, New Zealand, southeastern Australia and Europe. 7. Vitamin D. Having low levels of vitamin D and low exposure to sunlight is associated with a greater risk of multiple sclerosis. 8. Certain autoimmune diseases, you have a slightly higher risk of developing multiple sclerosis if you have other autoimmune disorders. They include thyroid disease, pernicious anemia, psoriasis, type 1 diabetes or inflammatory bowel disease. 9. Smoking. Smokers may experience an initial event of symptoms that may signal multiple sclerosis. They are more likely than non-smokers to develop a second event that confirms relapsing remitting multiple sclerosis. Complications of multiple sclerosis. People with multiple sclerosis may also develop muscle stiffness or spasms, paralysis, typically in the legs, problems with bladder, bowel or sexual function. Mental changes, such as forgetfulness or mood swings, depression, epilepsy. Diagnosing multiple sclerosis. It is not always easy to make a confirmed diagnosis of multiple sclerosis because early symptoms may be minor and sporadic. It can also be difficult because other diseases can have similar warning signs, and there is no definitive single laboratory test to confirm multiple sclerosis. The diagnosis is made based on a neurological examination and a history of neurological symptoms. Neurological evaluation. During the neurological evaluation, doctors sorts out even the most complex cases. Other diseases that mimic multiple sclerosis are carefully and systematically excluded. Some of the tests typically used for this evaluation include MRI of the brain and/or spinal cord. The MRI often shows plaques or scars typical of multiple sclerosis. Cerebrospinal fluid, CSF, evaluation. Using a lumbar puncture or spinal tap, the CSF evaluation may show immunological abnormalities that help in the diagnosis. Evoked potential studies, measuring conduction of electrical impulses along the optic nerve, in patients suspected of having optic neuritis. It is measured along nerve pathways in the brain and spinal cord too. Treatments for multiple sclerosis. There's no cure for multiple sclerosis, but medicines and lifestyle changes can help you manage the disease. Work closely with your doctor to find the treatment that's best for you and causes the fewest side effects. How is multiple sclerosis managed or treated? There is currently no cure for multiple sclerosis. Treatment focuses on managing symptoms, reducing relapses, periods when symptoms worsen, and slowing the disease's progression. Your comprehensive treatment plan may include disease-modifying therapies, DMTs. Several medications have FDA approval for long-term MS treatment. These drugs help reduce relapses, also called flare-ups or attacks. They slow down the disease's progression, and they can prevent new lesions from forming on the brain and spinal cord. Relapse management medications. If you have a severe attack, your neurologist may recommend a high dose of corticosteroids. The medication can quickly reduce inflammation. They slow damage to the myelin sheath surrounding your nerve cells. Physical rehabilitation. Multiple sclerosis can affect your physical function. Staying physically fit and strong will help you maintain your mobility. Mental health counseling. Coping with a chronic condition can be emotionally challenging. And multiple sclerosis can sometimes affect your mood and memory. Working with a neuropsychologist or getting other emotional support is an essential part of managing the disease. Prevention of multiple sclerosis. How can I prevent a multiple sclerosis flare-up? Disease-modifying therapies are the most effective way to reduce the number of flare-ups, also called relapses or attacks, you experience. Leading a healthy lifestyle is also important. The choices you make can help slow disease progression. Good care can also lessen your symptoms and improve your quality of life. Lifestyle changes that can improve your condition include eating a healthy diet. There is no magic multiple sclerosis diet. Experts recommend a balanced diet that includes lots of fruit and vegetables, whole grains, healthy fats and lean protein. Sugar, fats. You should also limit your intake of added sugars, unhealthy fats and processed foods. Getting regular exercise. Multiple sclerosis can cause muscle weakness, loss of balance and difficulty walking. Aerobic exercise, flexibility and strength training are essential to help keep muscles strong and maintain physical function. Managing stress. Stress can take a physical and emotional toll. It can also interfere with sleep, which can worsen multiple sclerosis-related fatigue. It's important to find ways to manage stress, such as yoga, meditation, exercise, and working with a mental health provider. Not smoking and limiting alcohol intake. Smoking and alcohol are linked to worsening multiple sclerosis symptoms and could speed the disease's progression. Quitting smoking will support your health. Outlook/prognosis for multiple sclerosis. What is the prognosis, outlook, for people with multiple sclerosis? In some cases, multiple sclerosis does lead to disability and loss of some physical or mental function. But thanks to advances in treatment, most people with multiple sclerosis will continue to lead full, active and productive lives. Taking steps to manage your health and lifestyle can help improve your long-term outcome. Is it common for people with multiple sclerosis to experience depression? Depression is very common in people with multiple sclerosis. In fact, symptoms of depression severe enough to require medical intervention affect up to half of all people with MS at some point during their illness. Depression may be the result of a difficult situation or stress. It is easy to understand how having multiple sclerosis, with its potential for progressing to permanent disability, can bring on depression. Depression might be actually caused by multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis may affect the insulating myelin that surrounds nerves, which transmit signals affecting mood. Depression is also a side effect of some drugs used to treat multiple sclerosis, such as steroids or interferon. How does heat or humidity impact people with multiple sclerosis? Heat or high humidity can cause many people with multiple sclerosis to experience a temporary worsening of their symptoms. Doctors believe that this occurs because heat causes nerves, whose myelin covering has been removed by multiple sclerosis, to conduct electrical signals even less efficiently. For reasons that are not well understood, extremely cold temperatures and changes in temperature can also cause multiple sclerosis symptoms. It usually causes spasticity, muscle stiffness, to flare.